forget all that Ginyu Force rules crap. The D-Trope subscribers rule.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
That was kind of corny, but we're about to get right into it because this week's chapter was crazy, bro. First, we gotta talk about Mina Ashiro's greatness. Then we need to talk about Kaiju number 9 and what his plans are. And then finally, we gotta talk about the emergence of these Daikaiju because we've been wondering where they were gonna appear at. Getting right into it, man, one thing that I am really growing to love about this series, outside of just Mina, is I don't see a lot of people talking about how great the cast of women is in Kaiju number 8. It's something that doesn't feel forced, but over time, if you just pay attention, the most badass characters in this series are almost all women for the most part. I think about Kikoru being one of the strongest people of all time in the Defense Force. Mina gearing up and showing us that she already is and still serving as one of the strongest people of all time in the Defense Force. Looking at Kikoru and thinking about what she can turn into. We just seen some really dope characters in this series that are women. And yeah, you just gotta give a shout out to the Divine Feminine, something that obviously Matsumoto appreciates, and we gotta appreciate it ourselves. But also, let's talk about Mina. Mina is insane. I got goosebumps this chapter seeing that Mina is literally the only person in the world that has the capabilities of using that railgun. She's the only person that has the abilities to actually use all the fibers and tissues from kaiju within that weapon and draw out its full power. And for that reason, Mina is actually known as the best super giant class kaiju killer in the world. That's crazy to think about. Japan is just one small place, and in retrospect, thinking that she is stronger than anybody in the world at using any sort of long distance artillery weapons to fight kaiju is crazy, man. And not only is it crazy for us, but it was obviously crazy for Kafka to see this, because whenever Kafka saw Mina blast away all the rest of the super giant class kaiju, he said, "Hell yeah, Mina, let's go. That's the member of the Kafka Corps, vice captain. That's how we do it." And everybody was like, "Bro, what? Vice captain of the Kafka Corps?" Kafka immediately is like, "Oh, bro, I forgot to turn off my radio." And I started laughing out loud at this part. I don't know how y'all felt about it, but it was just dope to see. It just felt so genuine. This was a great way to pick up this chapter based off of where last chapter ended, when we already figured out that Mina's out here shooting from freaking 20 kilometers away like freaking Michael Jordan, Jimmy Fredette. Now, with Mina destroying these supergiant class kaiju, we get into the next part of the video. People start lowering their guard and get a little hyped because we finally started taking out all these kaiju, right? But all of our members of the Defense Force that are out there fighting are saying, this is kind of weird. We have all these kaiju popping up, but they're not really destroying anything, even though they're showing up at all of humanity's basically essential resources to survive. So what's really going on? As they're all asking this question, Kaiju number 9 shows up. Kaiju number 9 has a dope drawing. Let's just drop everything right now, and one thing we have to say from this chapter, Matsumoto's art is crazy. The different details in different kaiju and daikaiju is awesome. The intricacies that he's drawing within these kaijus is crazy. Not only that, Kaiju number 9 standing on that ledge and holding that chess piece and saying that virtually all the chess pieces are on the board at this point. But he was also kind of surprised that Kaiju number 8, or Kafka, didn't show himself at this point. That's something that I honestly was kind of surprised by. I really thought that Kaiju number 9 fully planned for this. I think that even though Kafka isn't there, he's not bothered by it at all. It's something that he probably did plan for, but thought that maybe he would find a way to draw him out without having to go to plan B. And something else to point out is that Kaiju number 9 said that almost all those chess pieces are on the board. He did not say that all of his chess pieces are played. So what are those last few chess pieces? Well, if we go back to those few chapters ago, I think it was like chapter 68, whenever we first got introduced to a lot of these Daikaiju, all of those Daikaiju that we saw a few chapters back were not appearing in this chapter, right? One kaiju that I'm very interested in knowing when it's going to pull up is that glowing super giant white kaiju that they saw in the forest. That kaiju was supposed to be huge, And right now we've seen nothing of it. We did see a few of the other kaiju from that chapter, like the super fast kaiju. We saw the kaiju that obviously spit out all the fish. We saw the kaiju that can make itself look like Kikoru again. We've seen multiple kaiju, but we haven't seen all of them. And something else that has to be said is everybody in the Defense Force is thinking that these are cataclysms that are coming only from number 9, but this chapter we figured out that all of these kaiju that pulled up at the end of the chapter are all Daikaiju. So guess what that means? They are going to have cataclysms coming with them as well. So knowing that, it honestly makes me question, are all these cataclysms happening right now a result of Kaiju number 9? Or are these cataclysms a result of all these Daikaiju that are popping up in those respective areas? Maybe Kaiju number 9's cataclysm hasn't even come yet, and that's scary to think about, dog. But that's really kind of everything I wanted to talk about with Kaiju number 9. What we really got to talk about is all of these Daikaiju pulling up, and they pulled up clean, bro. The first kaiju that we'll talk about is obviously Kaiju number 11. Now, Narumi is going to be the person that ends up fighting Kaiju number 11. Kaiju number 11 is our fish type kaiju that we saw from chapter number 68. Now, whenever we saw him the first time, all we really saw is that he pulled up, he was on that ocean side, and then it spit out all of those fish everywhere. The one dude with the surfboard was trying to block them from hitting him. But we knew that Kaiju number 11 can absorb all those fish and regurgitate them as well. It'll be interesting to see Narumi fight somebody with a power like this and see what the powers of Kaiju number 11 really are. Narumi is very good at fighting somebody one-on-one, because unless you're faster than Narumi or stronger than Narumi, the chances are you are going to lose based off of Narumi's power, right? Because of the Kaiju number 1 forevision or foresight, whatever you want to call it, it can see your movements before you even know what you're going to do. So Narumi can always adjust to that situation, especially one-on-one, but if he's fighting a bunch of things at once or a bunch of fish coming at him at once, does that affect Narumi a lot? It'll be interesting to see Narumi fight number 11. The next kaiju is Kaiju number 12, the replica of Kaiju number 10, and Hoshina will be the one to fight Kaiju number 12. I know everybody is hyped to see how Kaiju number 12 is going to interact with Kaiju number 10. And on top of this, Kaiju number 10 is going to be ecstatic to fight Kaiju number 12. We already knew early on that Kaiju number 10 is a replica or a prototype created by Kaiju number 9. Knowing that Kaiju number 10 is a prototype, and number 10 knowing that he's a prototype, he's already said, all I want to do is fight the people that are created after me, or fight the kaiju that are created after me. So whenever Kaiju number 10 sees somebody else that looks like him or looks like it, Kaiju number 10 is pulling up ready to fight. So I'm ecstatic to see Kaiju number 10 and Kaiju number 12 kind of face off with each other and see what that ends up being like. Kaiju number 13 was that super fast kaiju that we saw pull up on the scene that was racing against the cars. Didn't look like Kaiju number 13 specifically pulled up to fight anybody, but it'll be interesting to see who does end up facing off against Kaiju number 13, or if 13 just causes a crazy cataclysm and nobody is there that's strong enough to fight 13, especially because 13 didn't pull up on any of our vice captains or our captains. So who was going to fight 13? Or is the Defense Force strong enough with just some of our platoon leaders as well as the platoons to take 13 out? Kaiju number 14 kind of sits off in the same boat. Shouts to everybody in the channel, because we all can agree at this point that Kaiju number 14 has to have some inspiration from Evangelion. So, hey, maybe we can get some of our people from there to pull up and help us fight a little bit. Maybe Shinji-kun can come through and help us fight. But Kaiju number 14 and 13 sit in the same boat. They didn't really pull up in anybody specifically in the Defense Force, but just pulled up to bring the cataclysm that's going to come with them. So who is going to fight them? Who knows? And that's scary to think about. And then obviously, last but not least, Kaiju number 15, the Kikoru replica. This was ominous to see whenever 15 pulled up in Kikoru. It said, Kikoru, I found you finally, and turned from Kikoru back into the 15 monster, and those two are going to go at it. And that's basically how our chapter ended. This chapter was hype. This was peak. This was everything that I could have wanted it to be, and I'm sure everything that y'all could have wanted it to be too. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is that Kaiju number 9 is setting up chess pieces, right? 9 has thought about every possible situation that he could up till now based off of what it knows. Knowing that 9 didn't have these Daikaiju pulling up on these specific captains or these specific people for no reason. My best guess is that all of these Daikaiju are going to put all of our vice captains and captains at a disadvantage in their upcoming fights. So to see what those disadvantages are going to be is going to be scary for us as readers, but it's about to be the most hype times that we've had in this manga. We're finally going to get to see people going above their limits. We're about to see people, the fruition of everybody's training. We're probably finally going to see Narumi leveling up to 100% output for the first time. We're going to see Mina reaching probably very close to 100% output for the first time. Kafka is going to pull up as number 8 on somebody for the first time since training and learning his squadron style. There's so much to be hyped for, but we are on a 1-month break, y'all. I think January 6th is when the next chapter comes out, so definitely gonna have to drop some more kaiju content between now and then. Is there any topic specifically that y'all want to see? Drop it down in the comments below. If you did like this video, then like this video. It don't cost nothing to show niggas some love. But other than that, man, thank you for watching. As always, arigato. As you can see, I am at Darz's place. Not back in my residence, but we still get the recording and editing in regardless. I am just rambling at this point. Like I said, thank you for watching. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.